Hey guys, I'm back. I missed you. so, in the spirit of me continuing to struggle through making videos and content relevant to my life and what I share with you guys and the feedback I get from you guys, I figured I'd do a video on should US insurance companies cover fertility treatments um, as a standard rule. And I was asked to weigh in on this topic from a social media group that I belong to. Anybody that kind of knows me knows that I belong to numerous social media groups that deal with the topic of infertility, IVF, women's issues, women's empowerment, women's sexual equality, and all things women, all things girls. I belong to numerous doula groups and birth worker groups, and it's a very rewarding and powerful series of communities that interlock and intertwine with one another that I belong to. And I was just really, really grateful that a lady in journey and working through fertility businesses asked me to weigh in on this particular topic. And I told her, I was like, that's a lot to type. Let me do a video. She was like, I was hoping you would say that. So go for it. So here I am going for it. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Yes, we shall. Should the United States have requirements that all insurance companies cover infertility treatments? Simple answer is hell yeah. That's a no fucking brainer. We as women in this country, we're just not safe to make our own autonomous body decisions. You would think, first world country, the US, that we wouldn't be having this fucking conversation. Should women have access to comprehensive treatment and insurances that are not exploitative for said treatments for decisions that they make for their body, especially in the area of reproduction and fertility? I mean, this is a debate and a war that's been waging since men aggressively took over the divine feminine, but that's a whole nother thing. But we should not in 2020 be having a conversation that requires us to ask a question like, should fertility be covered as a standard in insurances in the US? Should birth control be, a conversational talking point when it comes to determining insurances, whether it be through your employer or self-paid or a state-based program or a governmental-based program? We should not be having these conversations. At last check, 15 or so states in the US have provisions that require some level of fertility diagnosis and treatment and or care. And that is real variable based on the state. I lived in Massachusetts where it was a law, and I felt very, very good initially starting this journey, knowing that there was a law that stated all insurances had to have a provision for fertility included, whether it was a state-based insurance, which is their Mass Health, Massachusetts Health, or whether it was private insurance or through your job. If you operated in the state of Massachusetts, your insurance policy better have a damn provision for infertility and fertility treatments. And I'm sure there were schedules and details about what they could and could not include based on policy. But I felt very confident, but I still did not get the type of comprehensive care, treatment, or referral that I felt I deserved. Because in that provision, again, going back to the age-old battle of penises versus vaginas, not just Massachusetts, but every state that has these rules in place that says you have to have fertility coverage, it's very conceptual, and it becomes discriminatory in the way they dole out and allocate resources, the way they allocate the referrals, definitively based on your age as a woman. They feel like if you're over 35, you're no longer viable as a human being or a reproductive entity, or a woman aside. That just your viability and value to them goes way the fuck down after 35. They don't take it as a standard of what is the individual's actual health like. What is the individual's actual health dynamic? You could be 35 and be in worse shape medically than the man in the moon. You could be 50 and be in the best shape ever and make a 35-year-old look like what? But that's not the immediate go-to, the individual health dynamic. The immediate go-to is, oh, you're over 35, oh, you're over 40, and it wipes it away. So even in these regulations of mandatory fertility care in the insurances, it's still up to the medical doctors and professionals and their personal biases. There's no real requirement where men are concerned for fertility, and that's a bias. And when I say no real medical requirement, I mean, simply put, if a 50-year-old man goes into his urologist's or his wife's and his IVF reproductive endocrinologist, say, hey, my wife and I want to have a child. She could be 25, she could be 30. Any of those numbers that don't tick the box for discrimination with these doctors. And the doctor's not going to say, oh, well, you might as well just kind of stop. You've reached 50 and hadn't gotten in there yet. I don't know. The odds don't look so great for you. Nah, and just dissuade him and patch him along. What they do say to these men is, well, you're a little older, and your morphology and your motility in your semen may not be as viable as it once was, but all we need is one sperm. So go ahead and whack off in a jar and let us see what we can do. And this man can have the most immobile sperm on the planet. That one sperm in a million could be laying in wait with no tail, probably just hanging out. And if they find a iota of possibility in that sperm, they're gonna be able to suck it up and use it in whatever way necessary or possible to create a fertile success for this man. But as a woman, we go in and we have to debate and battle our insurance companies. We have to debate and battle our doctors. We have to debate and battle our labs, even, because of our age or because we have vaginas in general. And yeah, they want to kind of polish it to say, oh, it's because, the women carry the baby, it's a health concern. No, they're not taking the health concerns seriously, because if they were, their first go-to would be, what is your health like before we have this conversation? And then go into the conversation about fertility, and then make a plan of action for the successful, healthy fertility treatments that these women and we as all women require and are entitled to. Our insurance systems suck and swallow at that. They do not care. We live in a capitalistic environment where the dollar rules and big pharma gets paid billions and billions on billions of dollars every year for creating industry and micro industry out of our fertility and suffering on the backs of women, on the backs of us having to beg and crawl and plead and argue and litigate and just do stunts just so that we have the ability to pay high ass premiums for services that they are discriminatorily going to render to us, if they render them at all. Trying to find an insurance company, if you're like my husband and I, and pay independently for our insurances, trying to find an insurance company in our state, the state of Georgia, and that's a 1950s fucking nightmare too. We won't talk about that, but trying to find a health insurance that covers comprehensive reproductive or fertility treatments out of pocket in the state of Georgia, it's like finding a rainbow unicorn. Everybody's heard of it. Everybody wants it. Nobody's ever going to see it because it doesn't exist. And so it's frustrating. And we as women of any age, any ethnicity, any orientation, any familial status should not be going to war to have insurance companies cover what I consider to be an essential and basic issue, if you want to call it an issue, an essential and basic part of life. It's like vision care. It's like dental care. Yeah, it might be an option, but it is in the grand scheme reasonably affordable if you bundle it, if you package it, or at least it's there if you want it and you can pick it up and drop it as necessary. They don't mind throwing birth control at you. But when it comes to our wombs, they make, excuse my expression, our pussy their politics. And it's no wonder that women are so in danger in this country. We're being combated on all fronts. And you can do cross segments between socio-ethno groups and see how disenfranchised women are in every socio-ethnic group, every socio-economic group. We are disenfranchised. And then we're having a conversation about, should insurances cover our fertility care? Fuck yeah. Try having a baby and raising a child and nurturing it to not be a serial killer without a woman. Try feeding a nation without a woman. I'll wait. Right, exactly. Success is really not there on the calendar if you do it that way. So, I was asked to weigh in, and this is a subject I feel very passionate about. And so I, as you can tell, am trying to consolidate many sub areas of talking points into this one video and keep it 15 minutes or under. But yeah, simply put, should insurance cover fertility? Yeah, it should. And it shouldn't even be a conversation. Should insurance cover abortion services? Yeah, it should. Shouldn't be a conversation. Should insurances cover, birth control? Yeah. Should the governments that we elect, for the time being, that we elect be in control and dictatorship of women's bodies in general? Should this be a conversation? No, and no. But it is. And so we have to keep championing the causes that keep our struggle at the forefront and relevant and making continued progress. We have to build relationships and build communities. And we have to empower more young girls to become doctors and scientists and specialist in the fields of women's health and medical treatments and medical sciences that will directly positively impact the world of women. We have to support and prop up our young girls. We have to support and prop up our women in journey of IVF, our women in journey of fertility. We have to be womb warriors, because if we leave it to zippers, if we leave it to penises, well, you see where that's gotten us. So let's see if I've ticked off all my points. Let's see. Yeah, I've pretty much ticked off all my points. I'm kind of reading from some notes I took, because you guys know I kind of go off the cuff, but I really wanted to touch on, 3 or 4 touch points for this video. As I said, I was asked to do this video and address the issue of should insurances cover fertility treatments. And yes, I think I kind of got that covered, but I wanted to roll in sincerely the need for body autonomy, health autonomy where women are concerned. And the first step toward total body autonomy is comprehensive and fully customizable health care and treatments, and make it so that we're not paying ungodly, exorbitant, premiums for these services, to make sure we're not paying unapproachable deductibles for this service, to make sure that these services and these insurances are actually obtainable, actually affordable, because it makes no sense to have a component of insurance here that is optional and addable and customizable if the price points are set so unrealistically high that it prices women by and large out of the ability to access them. And that's kind of where we are with our fertility in America, is we've priced it so far out of certain price points that it's an elitist mindset. It's an elitist obtaining ability. If you don't make X amount of money per year, the unspoken message that they're sending is that you don't deserve to have children if you have fertility issues, because you don't make mid-high 6 digits minimum to afford our treatment. You can't afford $60,000 for our treatment, not including, medications. And if you are able to scrape and save and borrow and beg and work 9 jobs to get it done, most people can only afford one treatment. And most people get into this and realize, outside of male factor issues, that they realize they have layers and compounded issues of fertility that they need to address. And if you're piecemealing it, if you are a la carteing it here in the US, then you're never going to be able to afford to obtain success and be, a success story for your IVF and your fertility treatments. And if you're doing it out of pocket, a lot of people just can't. It's just that simple. So we need to make fertility treatments accessible and affordable and obtainable and customizable, and remove the bias and the discriminatory practices that are currently in play where our reproductive and fertile health are concerned. So I've gone over my 15 minutes, but I think it's really important that I get this out to you guys. So thank you, Anna Reyes, for asking me to do this video. It's early on a Saturday morning, but it got my juices flowing. And so thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do this video and to voice some opinions. And guys, if you have thoughts, opinions, concerns, criticisms, talking points, reach out to me and leave me a message below. Throw me your email out there so I can respond to you. Or send me your Facebook page information. I'll send you a message that way. We've got to keep this type of dialogue going. where women's health and autonomy are concerned, where our fertility is concerned. And we've got to keep it going so that it can benefit our daughters and our sisters and our cousins and our granddaughters. Because if not us, then who? Okay, well, that's it for me, guys. As you know, I love you and I appreciate you. Love you, love me, love your fertility. Bye.